Ever wonder and think that some remake movies are better than the original? I thought so sometimes. But then again, some remake movies aren't better than the originals. But today, I think I'd rather talk about both the original 1985 classic Fright Night and the 2011 reboot of Fright Night. Time to get started. Hey guys, this is P.M.R.Bonez88's, and I will be doing a comparison once again, but this time like movies and a versus between the original and the reboot. The original Fright Night that came in 1985 and the reboot that came in 2011. Both of these movies, I should say, they're definitely both horrifying vampire monstrous movie. To see the original became like a horror cult classic for almost like a low budget B movie, and the remake, it had like so many visual effects, and supposedly that they try to make it in 3D. There were some scenes that had some 3D moments, but most of the time it's probably a natural regular D movie just to watch at home. It's not really worth watching in 3D. So let's start off with the story plot. Both movies, they are taking place in a small town, but except they're in different locations. It was taking place up in the suburban town at Las Vegas, Nevada. I think it was outside in Las Vegas. I don't know, but it was somewhere.
The old one didn't show how small it was, but in the other one, it showed a small suburban little town that seemed like in the middle of fucking nowhere, like the hills have eyes.
Also with two directors, that Tom Holland directed the original Fright Night, and Greg Gillespie, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he also directed the reboot Fright Night. But Tom Holland was involved with the remake, so he actually did the story about it, like just to keep it the same as the original. To continue on the story, it's about a small town boy named Charlie meeting this next door neighbor, but it's Sam. He's a vampire, and technically nobody believes him. Not his mother, not his girlfriend, not even the police that can help him out. So it's up to Charlie to stop Jerry from killing everybody or turning them into bloodsuckers like him. Speaking of which, now I'll be talking about the characters.
The characters were very interesting. I liked how the characters were portrayed in the first one. Some of the other characters in the other one, I kind of really didn't like how they portrayed it and how it kind of changed.
The only difference about Charlie, the original was Charlie that was played by William Ragsdale. His character was naturally a regular teenage boy that just always likes to concentrate on his books, so technically he was a bookworm. But as for the remake of Charlie, that was played by Anton Yelchin, which he's familiar, that we know him in the reboots of Star Trek 1 and Into Darkness. His character of Charlie Brewster, he was originally a nerdy guy, but then he started hanging out with the cool kids. So his character was naturally much more of a regular guy that wants to like hang out with the cool kids. And the characters for playing Evil Ed, it was both Stephen Jeffrey and Christmas Please. Stephen Jeffrey, he played the original Evil Ed. He's much more of a rockhand, jokester, wisecracking dude. But as when he turns into a vampire, he becomes a complete douche. And when he gets burned by the crucifix by Peter Vincent, however, the scream gets a little annoying, and he does scream like a wussy girl. For the reboot by Christopher Mintz-Plasse, when he played as Evil Ed, he was much more of a fighter. He knew how to defend himself. He was much more of a geeky, nerdy kind of boy, but he knew all the info. He knows about the facts about Jerry, and he knew how to fight back. And somehow, right after, he just got bitten by Jerry. And throughout the whole movie, we don't see him up until where the part where he like comes into Peter Vincent's house. And we see him like as a vampire, but there was one thing I didn't really like about him, is where he gets his arm chopped off by the door. I mean, why couldn't he just like regenerate his limb? Like, he couldn't regenerate his arms or figure out a way to like get back inside of the wherever he was in, the panic room, and just get his old arm back. But he didn't. So eventually, throughout the whole scene, we see him just a one-armed vampire.
I didn't like how they changed Evil Ed a little bit from the second one, but I liked the first one a little better. Because the first one didn't know about the vampire in the first place.
For Jerry Dandruff, they were both played by Chris Sanderin from the original Fright Night, and for the remake, played by Colin Farrell. Jerry Dandruff is the Big's most head of the vampires. In the 1985 original, that Jerry Dandruff, he's more of, how do I describe him, as the most 80 called Dracula. And as for the reboot of Jerry Dandruff, he's actually most dark, gothic, emo vampire look. For these two actors that they played by him, that I would have to go with I have to go with Chris Sanderin, because he played like a good role to play as the vampire, like with all the makeups that he had to wear, and even dubbing out the voice to make him look evil. But then again, the evil, it does remind, the voice of how he did it, it reminds me of Mortal Kombat Annihilation with Shao Kahn. Yeah, it was the actor that played he played Shao Kahn, and he has the same regular like dubbing voice out. So I guess that was the reason he sounded like a like, I don't know, he was having a stroke or something. But for the reboot of Fright Night, he didn't really talk too much when he was in his monster form. More likely he was just like growling and grunting and just acting like all cool and just calm and easy, but much more of a douche.
There was a character in the second filming of the reboot, which was David, the Doctor Who series. I was like, oh, okay. But part of me thought, in the first one, he was kind of a puss cake, but he was the one that defeated Evil Ed in an awesome puss cake way.
Yes.
But in the other Peter Vincent, where David had to portray him, I didn't really like it. I think they could have made his character a little better, especially as a vampire hunter.
And speaking of Peter Vincent, both the original and the remake, they were both played by Roddy McDowall in the 1985, and the reboot played by David Tennant, which he was a familiar cast that he was in the Doctor Who series. There's a big difference between the two. In the original of Peter Vincent, he was only actually a TV show host of Fright Night, and the remake, he was a magician, illusion, and a sort of vampire slayer. But technically, he was really a dick, and the other one was a comely gentleman, but more of a coward. They were both cowards in some films. The original, that he did help Charlie out to stop Jerry, but most of the time he always starts running away. Like in every scene, he just starts running away. It was really funny, and especially where Evil Ed just scared him off. And lastly, the Amy, that was both played by Amanda Breeze and another actress, I forgot her name. I don't know who she is. I mean, the similarity that they are together with Charlie Brewster, except the difference is that the 1985 Amy was really a comely, regular girl, but sometimes wants attention. And as for the reboot, that Amy, she is a most popular, beautiful girl in high school. But they both get bitten by Jerry, and then they do turn into vampires. The makeup effect of how they did for Chris Anderson, make him like more of a vampire with monstrous look on him, make him like as a beast, some sort of a combo between of a bad and a demonic monster look. And for the reboot, most likely they just put like CGI effects on him, so there was like nothing, no makeup on him, just like fangs and dark eye contacts, and most likely they were all just CGI effects. So
yeah, I kind of like the makeup effect of both of them a little bit.
The makeups, they were really good and had to make them like all monstrosity or vampire looking. And as for the remake, most likely the time the only word was just CGI effects, like only CGI monsters with they planted some sort of a vampire face, and they just like all of a sudden started to turn back into their normal form. The only thing that they had on were their vampire teeth and sometimes their dark eye contacts. But I think the only makeup effect for the remake was the 2011 Evil Ed. At least he had something on him. The pointy ears, his hair was like a little long, like in the back, and his fangs were different. Like they were starting to change or starting to turn into like a monstrosity vampire. And as for Jerry Dandridge, his makeup effects was very awesome and very superb in how they did all the makeups on him. And at the end, where we're seeing like only his burning face was totally burned from the sunlight. For Amy's vampire transformation, the original was very scary. It scared the living shit out of me when I saw her. Like her mouth was like totally big and all the teeth that just pop out of nowhere. And for the remake of with this CGI effect that they used on her, like when they show all her fangs, her teeth were starting to come out and starting to become all crooked and very disgusting. So you could definitely tell it's definitely all CGI effects, and that's the one thing I didn't really like about this character, this reboot character of Amy. But they were both beautiful. And also there was another scene that really interested in me, kind of scared me, but didn't really scare me, not too much. I mean, it made my heart pound like a lot, because when I saw where Ed just like turned into a werewolf but then got stabbed by Vincent, and somehow where he starts to transform back to his human form. At first, with the slow live of the transformation of the werewolf Evil Ed to the human Evil Ed, that Ed, he starts slowly transform back to his own human form, and we see him with all the makeups on him, made him all gruesome and monstrosity, some sort of ish like, and it was like great special effects on him, and I think this one was better. So to come to a conclusion, which is better, the 1985 classic Fright Night or the reboot? Well, to be honest and to be fair, I think the original is the best. And plus they had the music of Fright Night, and including the music video about it. It was really much more of an 80s pop culture classic. You can never beat the original. But then again, the reboot I even liked it because it was really scary, really darker and gothic, including where we see all the characters that are practically much more the same but a little difference about them. So technically it's an equal side for a tiebreaker, but rating them, I had to rate out of 100 for both of them. For the original, I would give it a 95 out of 100, and as for the reboot, I have to give it a 85 out of 100.
I did like it a lot. Probably like a 8.
Out of 100.
Yeah, out of 100.
So 80 out of 100. And the reboot?
Probably a 5.
50.
Yeah.
50 out of 100.
Like, sorry.
So the original beats the remake. And I do own both of these movies on Blu-ray and DVD. Well, the original I have it on DVD. I had to find it on Blu-ray somehow. Maybe I'll just look it up on Amazon. Who knows, right? And this is P.M.R.Bonez88 signing off as saying is peace!